Welcome to Footy Center podcast series. Welcome to Footy Center podcast series.
Hello, welcome to another episode of FC Pitch Side podcast with me, Theo Inyan, and I'm here with the boys, about to delve into several topics in the course of the week. Last week we brought you the best centre backs. This week we are looking at major transfers, and in case you do not know, let me mention a few names: Romelu Lukaku, Anthony, Neymar. Let me add Kepa Arrizabalaga, at least for the sake of goalkeepers. What do these guys have in common? Failed transfers, failed huge transfers. Fortunately for Jonathan Mensah, he never was signed for $100 million, so he is exempt from this conversation. We are going to be delving into why several top signings, when I say top signings, I'm not talking about names. I'm not talking about what just qualifies for marquee signings, because let's be honest, Cesc Fabregas from Barcelona to Chelsea was a marquee signing, but it was not an expensive signing. We are looking at signings that were close to 100 million or even over 100 million. That just didn't work. It doesn't mean the player didn't score 10 goals or 20 goals at their new club. We are looking at why they never were able to replicate the success of their previous clubs, or were ever able to live up to expectations at the new clubs, including bringing in trophies and hitting certain heights that definitely cements their status as legends, in their new clubs. We'll be looking at that. We'll also be looking at some Ghanaian transfers, including Kamaldeen Sulemana and Thomas Partey. Where are they heading next? And is that going to be good for them? We'll be delving into that a lot more. Of course, the Club World Cup is still ongoing. So we'll be looking at where we are now in the round of 16, the games being played, and the games ahead in the quarterfinal, at least for the matchups that are being confirmed as we record. Remember, this recording is as of Sunday, noon. That will be on the 29th of June, so just take note of that. Anything that is happening beyond this date and time, it's not as if we are negligent, but it is because of the time of recording. I'm here with Sicho Atrim and Jonathan Mensah. Gentlemen, good afternoon. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, brothers.
Good afternoon, and I'm glad to talk about Sicho's Ampao again.
Yeah.
Please, it's gone. It's gone.
Sicho
It's
absolutely
gone.
humiliated.
What do you mean it's gone? The highlight is there.
Sicho, if you say it's gone, it means we are not going to talk about your victory in the game, because it's also gone.
Oh, as for that one, it's reoccurring because this week too
You will lash him.
So if we game,
We wait to see. We wait to see. But Jonathan Mensah sent me a
Oh,
text.
the Ampao is gone, but your victory is not gone. Oh, wow.
He's speaking
Oh,
and choosing.
wow.
He's speaking and choosing. Don't mind him. Anyway, guys, let me start with you, Sicho. Sicho, what are your highlights over the weekend? What's your weekend generally been like so far? Any notable things to share personally? Are you enjoying?
It's
Right.
no. It's been. I mean, for me, the weekend has been one of support to friends. A friend of mine lost the dad. I mean, the dad is old. He's lived well, so we went to celebrate. His life at the funeral over the weekend.
Oh,
So
that's
that
nice.
is on a personal level. Yeah, that's on a personal level.
I mean,
But
but
in terms of-
it also shows you are growing. In Ghana, when you're growing, one of the
Bro.
determining factors is funerals.
One of the things I love is my Saturdays and my Sundays, where I'm
Right.
not going anywhere. I'm logged in. I'm watching football. I'm with family. But
Right.
over the last 2-3 years, that is changing because
Yeah.
you've got so much to do on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Like you've got
It's
weddings,
either
you've got funeral,
weddings or engagements or
some
outdooring.
outdooring, something
or
is taking
funerals.
me away. But
Yeah.
it means I'm growing. But yeah, the signals are there. Look at my hair. It's
Yeah.
gone. It's all gone.
No,
So
but
it
this one
means
is not
that
growth. This one is not growth. This one is hereditary.
It's genetics.
It's genetics.
This one is genetics.
anyway, Jonathan, what are your highlights over the weekend? What have you been up to over the weekend?
I've been enjoying family, obviously, and watching some of the Club World Cup games, which has been very interesting.
Right. I think I have, over the entire week, I've been mainly logged into
You've
the
been the
Club World
busiest.
Cup. Yeah,
Yeah.
just been all over the place in Philly, in DC, in Charlotte, and it's because of the Chelsea. The first was a Chelsea game. I had already done
Yeah.
the Juve game. Then there was a Real Madrid game. Absolute
Yeah.
electric atmosphere. Anytime I cover Real Madrid, I just have goosebumps. Their fans
Yeah,
know
for
how to
sure,
support
really.
a team. They know
Yeah,
how to
yeah, for
support a
sure.
team, and I think it's because when it comes to Barcelona and Real Madrid, most of their fans are Hispanics, and these guys know
Mhm.
how to support a team. The South Americans, they come all guns blazing. They are in there with drums. They are in there with smoke. They are whatever it is, bro. They're just so good. Unlike the English or the European teams, it's all class, majestic, silent. It's almost as if we wear a jersey and the players should see that and it should be fine. Anyway, so we'll be delving more
But
into
Thierry, yeah,
right. Yeah.
before you go into it, I mean, you've moved around the USA. I know Jonah played there, but he played there
Right.
as a player. But
Mm.
as a journalist, maybe tied into fans, what should people expect when they come to America to watch the World Cup? Traveling between games,
Oh
the
my God!
transportation.
It's
How
one. It's
expensive would that be?
expensive. One. It's
Yeah.
expensive. I think that any fan that wants to watch the World Cup itself needs to factor in where their country will be based. So if your country is
Mhm.
based in Ohio, for example, stay there. Don't think about moving to New York and moving to DC and moving to Miami. Like if you want to do flight in this country, it's you can move from one part of the country to another in like 6 hours. I remember there was a time I had to I wanted not I had to but I wanted to see someone, and I was on the phone with the person. I don't want to mention the person, but I was on the phone with the person. The person says, I'm in California. I said, oh, I'm in DC. How many hours? The person says 6 hours. I was like, hey, that's Ghana to Ethiopia. you know so the transportation is very expensive because it's very, very big. I mean, we are talking about a country that has the size of a continent, so that it's very
Yeah.
expensive and it's very far. You need to be logged in a particular location, and the country is expensive, really. So in terms of food, accommodation, you also need to factor all those things in. But most importantly, sporting wise, the attendances for the games are not up to scratch, and I'm talking based off covering tournaments in different countries, and I know how the supports in different countries are compared to the United States. Soccer is still growing, as they call it. Football is not a real thing here. They are buying into it, but of course, the local fans or the local supporters of any club, be it club or country, they turn up and they make the occasion, they make the event. But for the Americans themselves,
Right.
if it's not the top tier clubs like Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, they really don't care. And it shows in the attendances, as we've seen, across the country. Some of them have been, it's like closed doors preseason,
Ghost stadium
behind
for
closed
games.
doors games. It's terrible. I don't know what FIFA is going to do about it between now and then. Marketing definitely needs to go up, and that's one issue I have with FIFA. Really, and this wasn't part of the agenda, but I'll spare a couple of seconds on that. That's
Oh,
one
please
issue I
go
have
on.
with
Yeah.
FIFA. I'm in this country, and I'm telling you, unless you walk into a bar stop and see an electronic display of the Club World Cup, it is almost incognito. It's almost as if they are shy of their own product. There hasn't been any
Mm.
massive marketing and advertising in a country where people are now embracing the sport. It's I don't think FIFA themselves have contributed largely to the success of this in terms of attendances. They are boosting huge numbers on social media, cumulatively millions of sold tickets and all that. Yeah, because you've expanded the games, so there are more games to be attended now, and so it just makes sense that you would have a lot more people ascribing to these games. But the problem there is it is an illusion, and it's distracting them from the reality. People are not attending the games. Yesterday at the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, a stadium that hosts over 60,000 people, this is not, excuse me to say, Fluminense versus Salzburg. This is Chelsea versus Benfica, and there were
Yeah.
at least less than 25,000 people in the stadium. There were more empty seats than there were occupied seats, and that should tell you something. And the Bank of America Stadium is not new to a Chelsea game. Almost every time Chelsea play a preseason in the USA, they go to Charlotte. And in Philly, it was the same thing, you know. And that's one thing that needs to be worked on. Marketing, and also the temperatures over here. If the World Cup is going to be played around the same time, my God, Jonathan is here. Jonathan will tell you the temperatures lately
Yeah.
have been in Fahrenheit 100 degrees, in excess of 90 degrees, and that is crazy. So I think a lot of things need to go into it. But again, to answer your question, the fans should stay put in one location where your team is based. Be there. The thing is, you now, if you don't have money, you can't move. So I don't even have to advise you. You now, you advise yourself. But that really is it.
Nobody will tell you not to move.
No,
You now,
nobody will
you
tell you.
move.
No, you now, you stay. Anyway, let's start a conversation, and I want us to start with our hot topic for the day. And our hot topic involves two Ghanaians, and that is Thomas Partey and Kamaldeen Sulemana. Kamaldeen has been reported to be on his way from his team in Southampton in England to an Italian Serie A team that is Atalanta. I'll start with that. Guys, good move or bad move? I personally, I think it's a great move. And I say it's a great move, one, because Southampton seem like they are in a sinking sand. They just don't seem to have any panic button. They just kept going down last season. Kamaldeen obviously has suffered, a number of injuries. That meant that he himself could not contribute his quota. But when he played, you could clearly tell the quality he had on the pitch. And that quality is the second thing that I'm talking about. His quality deserves a better team. We all thought Southampton was going to be that team, but it wasn't, because they sold a couple of players 2 summers ago, and they weren't themselves. Atalanta sort of fits the profile of Kamaldeen for me, and the reason is his pace. And the Italian Serie A itself is not as aggressive as the Premier League. When I say aggressive, I don't mean hard tackles; they have it, but I'm talking about end to end. It's not as intense as the Premier League, and that should handle his injuries a lot better than the Premier League. So I really, really, really like this Atalanta move. If the coach is the one after him, because we also know sporting directors and all that sign players for coaches who don't want players. But if the coach has the buy-in and the coach wants him, then I think he will do great things. He might not be starting right from the off because they have good players in there, and it depends on Lookman and his movement, because that could alter the entire attack. But if they decide to stick with him to start games and he keeps getting minutes, growing, building chemistry with his teammates, I think this is going to be a very good move for him. What about you guys?
John, you want to crack it first?
I will leave that for you because you know the Italian Serie A more than I do, so I will leave that for you.
Right. Sisha, let's go.
Hey, John. Yeah. Look,
one more nice true pass. One more
again,
nice true pass. Shogo,
True pass. Let me finish. Look, I think the manager wants him, because let's not forget,
Right.
Ivan Juric coached him at Southampton. Ivan Juric coached him at Southampton, and Ivan Juric now has gone to Atalanta. So they have got a working relationship there. He knows the player. Even though Southampton couldn't stay in the Premier League and it went down, I thought, yes, Kamaldeen deserved to leave the club. In fact, I questioned his decision to move to Southampton at the time he did move there. They were a struggling team. They were always going to be relegated. They got relegated. They came back. They didn't strengthen. He went back again. Now he's got a manager who looks like he trusts him. He's taking him away from the Premier League into a different environment. The thing is, Atalanta is a dominating team in Italy. It is not a team that has its back against the wall like Southampton did in the Premier League. So when Southampton play against any team in the PL, they are expected to get battered. So as an attacking player, you find yourself doing a lot more of defensive work than committing your defenders to problems on the offensive end. But at Atalanta, in the Serie A, it is more or less an attacking team, or a team that goes up teams. So we could see a lot of his attacking potency, come to fruition there when he plays there. Again, you mentioned the theory. The Serie A is not as fast as the Premier League. So I guess that if he puts his work to it, he can do an amazing job there. My only caveat then is, even though Evangeli trusts him, I wish that Atalanta wanted him at the time Gasperini was there, because Gasperini has got a massive talent for turning failing or failed players from different teams who have potentials into world-class footballers. So Ademola Lookman was there. We saw Skamaka. We've seen what he did with Robin Gosens and all of these players. So yeah, I like the move, and all the best to the Ghanaian.
Jonah, let's hear your brief take on that. I like the brief
Yeah, I would.
submission, though, Situ. I like the brief submission today. Ba,
Yeah,
ba, 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 ta, ta, you know.
yeah, I would say I like the move as well. Obviously, when a manager you worked with before trust you again, not just in the
Right.
same club but in a different environment, different country, different culture, and all that, it means he sees great deal of potential in him, and this is going to be good for him as well because change of scenery, change of formation,
Yeah.
team, country. I think it's going to be good for him. But we pray that he stays healthy, because when you're not healthy, you come back healthy. You show a glimpse of what the reason behind the team signing you. It would be very crucial that he can stay healthy. And obviously, we are always happy to see him healthy. He's good, so we wish him well.
All right. So the next, item on our list is Thomas Partey. Now we all know, his contract situation at Arsenal, and just what that has, been in the last few weeks or months. It's been protracted. At some point, we thought he was going to sign a new deal, especially considering his performances in the Champions League and how they sort of needed him before the Real Madrid game. It gave hints of a player who has shown signs of being a key player at a top club. And then suddenly, all we could hear was contract breakdowns. So, the conversation then had been, is he going to sign? And then now it says it's a complete fallout. He's not going to renew his contract at Arsenal. Sicho, what's your view on this? And who is losing out more? Is it Partey losing out more, or Arsenal are going to miss him?
I think it cuts in both ways. I think Arsenal will miss something, and Thomas Partey will lose out something. Also, it depends on where he's going to end up, right? But on the Thomas Partey issue, if you want to speak like a Ghanaian, you might miss out on key points. If you want to speak like a neutral and look at
Yeah.
Arsenal's
And,
thinking
and
and Partey's
effectively,
thinking,
that's
then
what
you
I
see
want
the
us to
clear
do.
picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, Thomas Partey was signed for a lot of money at the time by
Right.
Arsenal, around 15 million euros, 15 million pounds. That was how it was signed for. Arteta's first signing when Arteta took the club, his first real signing. Thomas Partey, over the time at Arsenal, after 5 seasons, has played less than 60% of the games available within that period. He has
Right.
never really been fit for them. And when at time the season has needed him, he hasn't been there to give them what they need. Thomas Partey's last season for Thomas Partey was his, if like, best in the Arsenal shirt, best and most consistent and most available for him. But he's not getting any younger. And for a club
Mm-hmm.
like Arsenal that wants to go on and win big things, they cannot have a player who they cannot necessarily trust, not about ability, but about his health. They can't necessarily trust that the player who is so important and fundamental to the way they play would be almost always available to play for them. So Arsenal have gone into the market thinking, what do we do? So they are bringing in Martinelli already. They are bringing in Zubimendi.
Zubimendi.
Already Jorginho
Right.
is gone. So yeah, already Jorginho
Yeah.
is gone. So they are looking at bringing in Norgard from
Yeah. From Brentford.
Brentford.
Yeah.
So Arsenal are beginning to think about going forward. And Arsenal really wanted to keep Thomas Partey, but I'm thinking that Thomas Partey was going to be kept on a reduced role, and maybe that also would have come with a reduced package in terms of the yearly take home. And Thomas
Yeah.
Partey just also feels that I just came back from a season where I played my best football. Whenever I played, the team was better. I don't think I'm ready to reduce my role, and I don't think I'm ready to maybe take a pay cut. Mind you, at 32, Partey might just be signing his final big contract
Yeah.
on this one that he's got. So this is not the
Yeah.
time he feels like he wants to take a pay cut. And in the end, the two parties couldn't agree. I think Arsenal will miss. I don't think Zubimendi is a better footballer than Partey. I don't
Right.
think Zubimendi is better than Partey. I think Thomas is better. But Arsenal are looking at other things that have come together. Because look, imagine if Partey travels to Ghana, they give him a physio. They have to give him a physio to come to Ghana with, and all of that. They put him in
Yeah.
the woo because it's
Yeah.
important for them. And maybe another
So
club
so
feels
so it
that they
just
can't
it
rely
just
on the
means that
Ghanaians so
even
much.
though he
They
is
need extra bodies.
right, even though he's proving to be a quality player for Arsenal, if you look into the thinking of the Arsenal hierarchy, maybe they think he's more of a problem than a solution. especially because they're also trying to arrest the Premier League. But do you agree to that, Jonathan? Do you think Jonathan offers less than what Arsenal
Thomas,
actually
Thomas,
need him to
Thomas,
do?
Thomas, not Jonathan.
Sorry,
Are you calling
Thomas.
Thomas Jonathan
No,
or are
you're
you calling
fine.
me Thomas?
You're fine.
Do you think Thomas has offered less than what Arsenal need him to do? And what do you think would be the best solution for him right now?
Ooh, I'm not in the best position to see what is best for him right now. I believe he does, but I couldn't have agreed more with the breakdown Cicho gave. Arsenal is not. It's just not looking at what he does on the field because we all know he can ball whenever he's healthy. But Arsenal is looking at it from every angle, every perspective. Okay, when he's healthy, he helps us, that's that, this and that. But whenever he travels to the national team and comes back, he brings, a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of something with him, and then that ends up being a blow for Arsenal. He gets injured, and then they miss him for a couple of games and all that. So I believe Arsenal is looking at it from a different perspective. He's 32 now, you know, and they're looking at okay, replacing him with a couple of guys that are a little younger than him, that they're looking at the long-term future with them. So I believe he's done so much for the club already, but obviously from the way Sicho just broke the numbers down and all that, if you've missed more than 60% of your
Yeah,
games, then there will be a little question mark at the end.
yeah.
So I would say he's going to obviously sign for a good club because he's still a good player that can
What
contribute
we
to
know
the
though is
team.
some Turkish clubs are looking out for him. Jose Mourinho's
Yeah.
Fenerbahce are
Mhm.
stepping up interest, but I think Partey is better than the Turkish league, to be honest.
So yeah, like I said,
I
he'll
think he's
sign
better
for
than the
a
Turkish league.
Why
good
is he not
club.
looking at
So
Saudi though?
Yeah, there's a Saudi option as
hopefully,
well.
hopefully
Um,
he
yeah,
chooses what is best for
for him
him and
and
his
his family.
family. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll be happy for him
Yeah,
regardless
of
of
course.
where he plays. Yeah.
Wherever he
And
plays, hopefully,
and for
because
Thomas,
we are also looking as Ghanaians,
yeah.
we're also looking at the World Cup next year. So
The
wherever
quality.
he
Yep.
goes, we hope that he gets the minutes, which is very important. He continues to stay in
Hmm.
shape because we need him for the World Cup. If Ghana do qualify, and at the moment we know that
Absolutely.
we are on the verge of qualification.
We will
Anyway,
be
we'll move
there.
on from there. We'll be there. We must be there. Um, we are moving on from there. We are going straight to some others. Still on transfers. This time it's our major conversation for the day, guys. And my question is simple. Why are the most expensive transfers proving mostly, I wouldn't say always, but proving mostly to be failures? Now, for anyone that doubts my theory or thinks that we are just picking a few players out of a lot of signings or transfers and we are making a case out of nothing, let me give you a few names. Do you guys remember James Rodriguez from AS Monaco to Real Madrid in 2014? 80 million euros. The kind of football he played for Colombia at the World Cup in 2014 and played for AS Monaco before that move, everyone expected fireworks at Real Madrid. It didn't happen. No matter how you look at it, it didn't happen. Then there was Zlatan Ibrahimovic from Inter to Barcelona. Now that move was very expensive, but it also came with a swap player, which was Samuel Eto'o. Arguably, I think I haven't done research recently on Zlatan's move to Barcelona, but if I remember carefully, he scored 16 goals in La Liga after his move. Samuel Eto'o, on the other hand, won a treble with Inter Milan. So arguably, Ibrahimovic's move wasn't a success. Neymar from Barcelona to PSG, record signing, 222 million. Everybody continues to point at Neymar as part of the reasons why PSG did not do well because he was part of the egos, big egos in the dressing room. There was Kepa Arrizabalaga. That saga has still not ended because of his move from Athletic Club de Bilbao to Chelsea. Most expensive goalkeeper in history, 72 million pounds. Harry Maguire from Leicester to Man United, Romelu Lukaku from Everton to Chelsea. Chelsea fans still hate him because of everything that has happened after that transfer. Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona. We all know what happened over there. Guys, the list is endless. let me intentionally add Manchester United fans, Manchester United players, so that they feel a part of the conversation. There's a very negative conversation. I want to add Man United because they've also seen Anthony from Ajax to Man United. It didn't work. Okay, I mean, I think I'm hating because I had already mentioned Maguire, but there was also what's it called? Darwin Núñez from Benfica to Liverpool. It hasn't worked. Eden Hazard from Chelsea to Real Madrid, 100 million. It didn't work. He actually even became fat. We've seen João Felix from Benfica to Atletico Madrid, which was supposed to be over 120 million pounds. It also didn't work. Too many very, very good players. It's almost as if once the money is mentioned, something goes wrong, something takes off. Jack Grealish, for example, at Manchester City. We all know what the kind of football he played at Aston Villa. Let's be honest with ourselves. He's won trophies. He's been part of great teams, but he hasn't been indispensable in that team. He's had maybe, like you say, maybe one very good season with Pep Guardiola. But then again, it comes back to the whole conversation about big transfers and failures. If I dare say anything, I'll add Kaká to it because Cristiano Ronaldo, everybody knows wherever he goes, he shines. Maybe with the exception of Manchester United for a second return. But guys, let's talk about big transfers and the failures because now Florian Wirtz, we're having this conversation because there are a few new big signings. Florian Wirtz has moved to Liverpool, and that conversation is coming up again. Is this going to be a good signing? Is this going to be one of those signings that the players and the clubs in question all regret? Let me start with you, Sicho. Why is that even a thing? How are players struggling at their new clubs?
To be fair, Thierry, to be fair, for almost all the big transfers that you mentioned, there are peculiar reasons why each of them fail. Like, for example, the Griezmann signing. Griezmann has always thrived
why
in his club, Atletico Madrid, as a free role player who. Okay, so Griezmann always thrived as a free role player, right? He needs the freedom to operate in the team. In Atletico Madrid, that was how he was good. In France, he had that ability to do so. But when he went to FC Barcelona, the free role player would have been Messi, or was Messi, so he had to stick to a definite role. And that definite role wasn't on the right. He had to be on the left. And no, Griezmann is not comfortable playing on the left because it's a left footer. He wants to go on the right and cut him. In the end, it just didn't work because he's not a tiki-taka player. He's the hustler. And then once he has the ball, he makes something work. It didn't work, right? For example, a player like you mentioned, a player like João Felix. You leave Benfica for your skill set, and you go to Atletico Madrid, a team that at the time were super, super defensive. João Felix can never thrive in that environment. Like, it won't work. So it comes down to a lot of the players maybe following their agents and the selling clubs, following the money because those are the big offers, right? But ultimately, there's one thing that cuts across it. When the big dollar has been paid for you, it's impossible not to attract a certain level of pressure and eyeballs, not only from fans. Jonah is a player. I don't know how the players would think, but if Jonah, you're in your team and a player has been signed to be the most expensive player in the team, when you go out to train, even at training, you're looking for something special from the player. You're thinking that player should be the player that takes you to the next level. So from your own teammates, from your own club, everybody associated with the club, the cooks, the receptionist, the person who's mowing the lawn, the drivers, everybody's looking at you like you are coming in to take us to the next level because they say you are this good. They say you are this good. So even though they won't say it, there is a bit of you. And if you don't have the big muscles like Cristiano Ronaldo had, like some players in the history had, then you're going to fall. An example is, I think Zlatan is a great personality. He had everything in him to do well at Barca. But he went to Barca at the time that Pep Guardiola was going to revolutionize football and play tiki-taka. Does Zlatan look like a player who can play tiki-taka? Does he look like a player who will press and chase the ball around? Nothing to do with his ability, but he just won't fit in the system. So some were factors outside their own doing that didn't allow them to succeed. But for most of them, I think it is the whole pressure of having that price tag and the whole pressure of having to carry your team to the next level that maybe kills, their confidence in time.
Jonah, I mentioned quite a number of players. I mean, Sicho makes an interesting case about Everybody having a peculiar situation. Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like this conversation was supposed to find one solid reason why
Yeah, yeah,
everybody fails
yeah.
at different clubs. Everybody will have a situation. Lukaku's situation at Chelsea was completely different because of his strained relationship with the coach, and then later on with the fans. We know about
Yeah.
he's mentioned Griezmann. Harry Maguire is up and down, but the style of football can also be a thing. James Rodriguez was moving to a
Absolutely.
club
Style of
that is
football.
considered
Brilliant.
the best, best club in the world. And no matter who you are, going into that club has so much pressure on you. I mean, yeah, we have outliers, and it's not. And again, it's not because I'm a Chelsea fan, but one of the names that or some of the names that quickly springs to mind: Liverpool's goalkeeper, what's his name? Allison, signing from AS Roma,
Alisson.
big amount, over 70 million, if I'm right, and it's worked. It's worked. He's considered one of the best goalkeepers
They've
in the
won
world.
it all.
Yeah. Moises Caicedo at
Yeah.
Chelsea, the first 6 months was
It's
almost
working.
forgettable, but now it's working. He's currently one of the best players or one of the best midfielders, not just in the Premier
In the
League, but also
league.
in Europe. So some
Yeah.
of them would work, but they are very few, they are very few.
Yeah.
And it's always the concern when a player is signing for big money. Is this going to work? And 80% of the voice in you is loud saying no. And a very small fraction of what you are thinking says it's possible, it could happen.
Yeah.
Why is that the case? Is it a mentality problem? If a player is moving from A to B, is it a mentality problem? What goes into it? How does it affect the player's thinking? And I'm asking you because of this. After your submission, I'll make a point on that.
Okay. I believe it comes with a whole lots of thinking going on in the player's mind because
Right.
someone like what's his name? I forgot the name. Nicolas Pepe going to Arsenal. I believe he
Right,
was the
right, right.
highest
That's
signing
another one.
ever.
From
Yeah.
Lille to Arsenal. Yes.
Lille to Arsenal and playing in the French league. Obviously, they said it's a famous league and all that. So coming to Arsenal, where they are looking at you as the savior to help them win something. Now that is a big one, and
Yeah.
obviously, on a little bit of a personal level, he's from Africa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
now
then
the
being signed
pressure
for that amount.
being signed for that amount, now they're
Yeah.
like, okay, show us what you got. Because,
Mm.
now the argument will shift to, okay, we've never seen a better African winger, this and that, all that. It comes out of, these kind of conversations will start boiling up. And then now the pressure even mounts up even more. Someone like Jack Grealish,
Yeah.
his game at Aston Villa was completely different. He could drive at people, shoot from outside
Yeah.
the box,
Yeah. He was doing
and
everything.
he was like, okay, wow. But now when you go to a system like Pep's system, now you need to play according to the way the coach and the system want you to play. So now he drives at people. Now he want to combine, he want to do all that. But at Aston Villa, with even his older shoes, he was scoring bangers from outside the
Yeah.
box and all that. So it comes down to the system the team plays, obviously the pressure the player puts on themselves. Because someone like Pepe, I believe he was like, oh my God, now I got to do it all for the team and all that. So these kind of things mentally, if you're not strong, you're going to, like someone like Anthony, like this. He played in La Favela where they were shooting
Yeah.
people and all that. But
Yeah.
coming to Manchester United with that kind of big money, it doesn't matter, your upbringing. Now you need to prove on the bigger stage. So the pressure sometimes is different in different environments and
You know,
different systems.
I mentioned if you were done with the submission, I was going to make a point because Caicedo, for example, who again is proving to one of the outliers, he mentioned in an interview that the price tag, it's not his fault that Chelsea decided to pay that amount for him.
To pay that
Let's
amount,
be
yeah.
honest. All these players, it's not their fault that their clubs charged that amount and the
Mhm.
buying clubs also paid that amount. But he said at some point after he signed, he it, it, he woke up every
It dawned
morning
on
and,
him.
and that is like the first thing. You are the most expensive midfielder in transfer history.
Exactly.
You are the most expensive
Mhm.
player in Premier League history. And every time it was like always on his head. But he
Yeah.
said at some point he needed to spend on a psychologist, someone to speak to him through it. He needed to later spend on a private analyst, someone to watch his videos with him. and direct him on what to do better, because he realized that it was eating his mind so much that simple passes and
He
simple
couldn't
tackles were
play.
becoming a problem.
Yeah.
And so that goes into my next question, and I'll direct it to you. If I mean, I've never been a professional player. I've never been bought. I've never been sold. If you move from A to B, what really happens at B that makes you uncomfortable or makes you comfortable, especially if it's a bigger team? Like you move from Amiens, to Barcelona, right? Because we've seen some of those moves,
Yeah.
from Southampton to Chelsea. At that new club, at that big club,
Yeah.
when you are there,
Hmm.
are there are there things that happen behind the scenes that puts pressure on the players? I'm not talking about newspapers and social media and the fans and what they're saying, but even the players and the coach themselves. Is it as particular? Are there skills they expect you to do as a 50 million pound player, or something that you have to do and show to prove that you are actually the guy everybody has been talking about?
So, like you said, the example was very well put in. From A to B, now you need to undo some things from A.
Right.
Now you need to learn new things from B,
Good.
which is not easy for some individuals. So, for example, when you add the price tag, now it is going to be even more complicated. It's going to, like, how strong are you, how willing are you, how teachable are you to learn these new things? Because now coming to B is going to be a new coach, new, everything is new. So how willing are you to embrace the struggle, to embrace the change, be teachable, be open? Because someone like Caicedo, like this, he was willing and open to talk to an outsider, to
Yeah.
seek that help, because some
Yeah.
people will be just rolling like, I'm the most expensive player, I don't care. But
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah.
okay, even normal, like simple 5 yard passes I wasn't able to do, which was something I was doing on a regular basis. So being teachable, willing to seek help, I think it really helps a lot, because when you get to a place where, let's say, for example, your teammates have played there before, or your countrymen have played there before,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna phone them, call them, and be like, hey, how are things done here? Can you help me here, here, and there, and there? So getting all these points actually helps you more than not getting any information at all. So
Yeah.
I believe
I like that.
getting, some information ahead of time before you get to the B place really, really helps you.
In covering the Club World Cup, when I covered Real Madrid's game against Salzburg, I asked Trent Alexander-Arnold after that game what the differences are between Liverpool and Real Madrid. And because of the conversation, I just feel it would be good for us to take a listen to him and what he said, on that. But the main points, really, he was talking about the language, the culture, and all those differences, but how the players are also helping him. Let's take a listen to him, come back and continue the conversation. What would you say is the biggest difference between Liverpool and Real Madrid after the move?
The language, the location. But at the end of the day, it's football. You play with different players. Of course, speaking and being a part of the conversation is harder. You work hard to try and understand what people are saying and be a part of it. But other than that, when you step out onto the pitch, you know your role, you understand it. The manager speaks to me a lot individually to make sure I understand everything that gets said. As all the meetings are in Spanish, so he goes out his way and stuff out the way to make sure I understand everything in the game plan. And you step out onto the pitch, and it's the same. Whether what club you play for, international football, at the end of the day, you step out there and you're playing against a team and you've got a job to do. So there's differences, but it's football.
All right, so that was Trent Alexander-Arnold, speaking to me on, the differences between Liverpool and Real Madrid. I mean, he's a guy that has moved from one huge club to another huge club. So in terms of pressure, he knows how to handle it. He knows how to handle it. Unlike a lot of players, that we have, mentioned in our list here. But Sicho, still on this particular subject, and I'll present the last question to you on this matter. How do you think players should navigate some of these transfers? Again, we are saying it's not their fault. It's not James Rodriguez's fault that Real Madrid decided to pay 80 million euros for him. It is not Lukaku's fault that Chelsea decided to dish out almost 100 million pounds for him. So when these transfers happen and these players have their hands tied, this is how much you cost. The fans expect so much from you. What do you think they are supposed to do then? Because the coach has a system, you can't change it. The fans have their culture, the club has a culture, you can't change it.
Personally,
How did Cristiano Ronaldo work it out?
Yeah.
How did Ronaldo work it out? How did Caicedo work it out? How is Enzo Fernandez working it out? How are some of these players doing it and establishing themselves, even though they went for big signings?
Yeah, I think that what has to be done and it's not only football in any walk of life. You are talented. That is why you are bought for that amount of money. It's no joke that any club would agree to pay that amount of money for you. It's simply because you've got something. Now, when they pay that amount of money for your ability, it is not business as usual for you. So when all the other players in the team go to training at 8 and close at maybe 11 and come back and train, you can't afford to be training just like them. You can't afford to be behaving just like another player. You are different. You are the most expensive player. Like the eyeballs will be on you. And that is why Caicedo had to invest in himself to make himself better. And when you asked about why how Ronaldo could do it, Ronaldo had to invest in his own self over and over again to get better. We didn't see the same for Hazard. We didn't see the same for Romelu Lukaku when they made the breaks. We didn't see the same for Anthony.
Yeah.
So when you go in there,
rather
and you came to
decided,
the club.
Lukaku decided on the other hand, not to cut you, but Lukaku decided on the other hand to hold a press conference and speak against the club, speak against the coach, and speak against the fans. And under no
and tell all of us how he misses that.
Exactly, and you see, no matter, and it was a very ill-advised, decision. And again, he was not just talking about any club; he was talking about the club that gave him his biggest opportunity as a footballer. Right from when he was at Anderlecht and nobody wanted to give him a chance, it was Chelsea that signed him to be an understudy to Didier Drogba.
Yeah,
and if not for anything, you at least owe the club that level of loyalty or respect.
Yeah.
That interview I thought was very unfortunate. No player at any club should ever speak to their to the fans like that. You lose it automatically. I'm just chipping this in there when you are making a point about settling in and all that. Some of them make huge mistakes.
Absolutely. So for me, you cannot go in there as for business as usual. You need to deliberately, purposely invest in your own ability to maximize or reach your potential. The other thing too is it also depends on the club that you've gone to. And that is where I'll bring in the likes of Ronaldo, the likes of Hazard. And the difference is when Ronaldo was going to Real Madrid, as big as Real Madrid was, they needed a savior in coach. They needed somebody to push them to the next level, right? When James Rodriguez was coming to Real Madrid had a team full of stars, and it was going to be another star, right? So sometimes you don't necessarily need to be the one. You can be a part of the group, even though you're expensive. You get it? So there are some expensive players who have gone to teams, very, very expensive, but they've been a very good part of the team. They've not necessarily been the one. So for a player like Florian Wirtz, who's gone to Liverpool, you already have Van Dijk. He's a superstar there. You've got Alisson, superstar. Mohamed Salah, he's a superstar, right? You've got McAllister, who's coming, is done brilliantly. He doesn't need to go there and try to be the one. He can go there and be part of the team and get his job done. If you want to overstep, maybe you want to be better than Mohamed Salah, better than Van Dijk, you might be inviting too much pressure on you. But if you go there and you're a proper teammate, you're a proper unit man, you can thrive easily on those who are already settled. And in the end, you can blossom in your own abilities.
All right. So I mean, we've looked at a lot of these examples. We've looked at what possibly could be the problem among all these transfers and why they keep failing, and we've also looked at what could possibly be the difference. Florian Wirtz is moving to Liverpool. It's a conversation we've had a number of times here. my simple question to you guys: do you think this works? Do you think this joins the tallest of failed transfers? Sicho, I'll start with you. I know in your heart of hearts you want him to fail because you're a Man United fan, but do you think realistically that he fails?
Not necessarily. I like Arne Slot and I like the way he plays, but I think it will work because Liverpool have got a very good foundation. They already have a very settled team. They've kept their important players, and he's going to be an addition. Liverpool don't need Florian Wirtz to come and take them to the Premier League. They've already been there. They've won Champions League more recently. They've been in the final, so he's going to be an addition. So that's what I'm saying. Now that you have Mo Salah, Diaz, all the guys who are balling, go and form a part of the team. You know, you're not Ronaldo to take Real Madrid from not going to Champions League final in so long to the Champions League final. You're not taking Liverpool to the promised land. You're going to only add up to make them better. If he realizes that he's got massive ability, I think he can thrive.
Jonah, your brief submission on that.
Yeah, I believe the structure there is very good now. Obviously, with the new coach Arne Slot coming in, he set a great foundation for the team, and obviously for first year coach being able to win the Premier League, that's a great achievement. So foundation is set now. Now, you know, it doesn't matter the price tag. He just goes in there, you know, play the way he knows how to play. I believe he's just going to be fine. I wouldn't say it can be a successful transfer. I wouldn't say it will be. It can be.
But you mean it can be. Of course, there's a potential. Every transfer actually has that potential to either fail or succeed. Anyway, in the spirit of transfers, we are ending the conversation on the transfers. And in the spirit of transfers, let me just mention a few potential deals that are either happening or about to happen. We're not discussing them. I'm just by way of bringing it your way before we move. Pogba has signed for AS Monaco. I'm pretty sure you probably have seen that on social media, including Chelsea's deal for Borussia Dortmund's Jamie Gittins. He definitely should come in and do good, hopefully. Anyway, Man United are also pushing for Mbeumo. We know that, but it looks like that is going to be a real thing considering official bids getting rejected by Brentford. And also, Man United, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur have been put off by Semenyo's £70 million price tag by Bournemouth. I think that's too high for a player. For the player, he's shown that he can be good, but £70 million is outrageous in today's market. Anyway, Liverpool also, to take patient approach in Alexander Isak race. I really don't see any Premier League sides signing Isak for two reasons. One, the price tag is too high, especially for Liverpool. They just signed Florian Wirtz. If they could sign any player for an amount close to that, they chose who they wanted more, and they've proven they wanted Wirtz more than Isak. There's no way Liverpool have that much money to sign another player, almost 200 million, pounds in the same transfer window. That goes to more than 300 million, and they do not.
It will shock you. The Coutinho money is in full swing.
They genuinely don't have that to still stay solvent, including because of the FFP, not because they don't have the money. They have the money, but we all know how the financial rule works, and you need to be able to prove your profits at the same time. Anyway, there's also talk about how Arsenal could be rivaling Tottenham Hotspur for Eze of Crystal Palace. But anyway, that'll be all for the transfers. Thank you for staying with us on this particular transfer notes. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, FC Pitchside podcast continues right here on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us your comments and also like the video and subscribe to the channel. So we'll be right.
This is the FC Pitchside podcast, the first in an exciting lineup of podcasts by Footy Centre. Footy Centre is where you'd read your intriguing opinions and daily stories about football. From Europe's biggest leagues, the Champions League, international matches, and for Ghanaian fans, get closer to your favorite national teams.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We're going straight to the FIFA Club World Cup happening here in the United States of America, and the group stages are over. The round of 16 games have begun. On Saturday, there were 2 games. It was Chelsea against Benfica, but before that, it was Botafogo losing to Palmeiras. And what's happened after those games is that there's been a setup of the Estevão Willian derby. Because remember, Chelsea have signed Estevão Willian, considered the next Neymar from Brazil, doing great things there, winning a lot of individual awards for Palmeiras. And he's helped Palmeiras to qualify to the quarterfinal in Philadelphia. That game on July 4 will be against Chelsea, who have also beaten Benfica. Now, there's a lot to talk about. But before I get the take of the guys here, with me, let me first of all get the take of Ben Jacobs. I met Ben Jacobs at the stadium and decided to pick his thoughts on not just the Chelsea game but the Club World Cup as a whole. We'll take a listen to that and then we will dive into the other conversations quickly. All right, so tell me, after covering this round of 16 game, this is another English side progressing to the quarterfinal. What exactly would you make of Chelsea's performance so far?
Well, I think Chelsea's performance was overshadowed by the craziness of the whole game. A near 2-hour delay. They looked in control. They were dominant, but they only had 1 goal. That brilliant Reece James free kick, which shows you his improvisation and creativity. Then they go in, long period, constantly moving times. We understand it because, of course, player safety has to come first. Benfica come out, they get a penalty, which obviously will be a big part of the post-match debate. The sort of slow-mos do show that it hit Gusto's hand, but Otamendi had headed it basically from point-blank range, and Gusto had his eyes shut. Penalty was given, 11 against 11, Benfica equalised, and you thought that it just might be their day. And then the red card in extra time was another turning point. There was kind of a crazy 5 or 7 minutes where Chelsea were pushing, but Benfica on the counter-attack were dangerous, and Angel Di Maria had a big chance after Cole Palmer saw his shot saved. Then the key second goal, brilliantly taken by Christopher Nkunku, and from there you always thought that Chelsea against 10 men were going to go on and win, and the last 2 goals were obviously just bonuses to put the icing on the cake of a long and strange old game. And I think at the end of it, Chelsea will be both delighted and exhausted.
Absolutely. And what do you make of the attendance? It seems to be poor, and today was no different. Is it the temperatures in the afternoon games, or what exactly will you attribute this to?
I think a lot of Benfica and Chelsea fans were maybe waiting for a quarter-final before deciding when to come out. That quarter-final is in Philadelphia. It means if you come for the quarter-final, you can maybe stay for the whole tournament, and it's a very easy journey between Philadelphia and New York. It's time-consuming. It can be expensive for fans as well. But we should give credit to those that were here in Charlotte, and we mustn't forget the average attendance for this tournament at large is still well over 35,000. I think FIFA will be happy with those numbers. Chelsea have had a couple of games that are a little bit on the empty side. Their opening win over LAFC was in the middle of a working day, and LA, of course, were not playing in LA, and then this game here in Charlotte. But I think you'll see Chelsea very strongly supported from the quarterfinals onwards, not just because they're in 2 big cities like Philadelphia and then New Jersey if they get that far, but also because far more of Chelsea's European fan base than those from London are likely to now make the flight out.
Now, so far, based on what you've seen, if I'm asking who you think can go all the way, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we might see a surprise from one of the Brazilian teams. It's a fascinating matchup. Chelsea against Palmeiras. Chelsea and Palmeiras both had to play extra time, and you've got Estevão Willian, soon to be a Chelsea player, coming up against his brand new club, and he can of course play in that game. So that's a fascinating kind of clash of styles, and Chelsea will have to learn after losing to Flamengo how to adapt and knock out a Brazilian side, but they're favourites. You feel like Manchester City have got a relatively kind path towards potentially the semi-finals, into potentially in a quarter-final. Not an easy game, but it's not PSG or Real Madrid. So my expectation is that Chelsea and Manchester City will make the semi-finals, and then I think that Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid will do exactly the same as well. So we'll end up with what everyone maybe expected before a ball was kicked, and that's 4 European teams in the last 4. And then from there, it's so hard to predict. I think Man City have looked really sharp and fresh. Their new signings have made a difference, and seemingly they see this as last season and the opportunity, therefore, to make amends for a disappointing campaign. Chelsea are billing this also as an extension of last season where they've had momentum, but it's been a long old season for them, and I think Man City may prove the fresher of the two teams by the time we get towards that potential semi-final. But first we've got to show respect to all of the other teams to get to that all-English semi-final. If it happens, it's even more interesting because again it's Pep Guardiola against Enzo Maresca, and Maresca was Guardiola's assistant. I can see that being a 50-50 call. It would guarantee us an English team in the final. And then I think if it's PSG Real Madrid, I think PSG have got all of the momentum, all of the swagger. They're here as the Champions League winners. They expect to make a statement at this competition, and I think they can get all the way to the final as well. So we're going to get drama, we're going to get the cream rising to the top, and I would be predicting a European winner.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ben.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Of course.
Right.
That was the conversation with Ben Jacobs, guys, and interesting thoughts from him. Ben Jacobs is a football journalist.
Great interview.
correspondent for-
Great interview. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And he touched on the attendance. He touched on the quality of the competition so far and the teams that potentially could win it all. He also spoke to the Chelsea game. But without necessarily touching on those same issues, I wanted to talk about, that round of 16 game between Chelsea and Benfica. But, Jonathan, have you ever been in a crazy game like that before? A game delayed for almost 2 hours because of a weather issue.
Yeah, I have been, and that was my first time obviously experiencing that.
Oh, really? Was
In
it here in
the-
the States?
In the United States, they take that very, very seriously, like
Wow.
player safety. Yeah, I've played in France, played in Spain, played in Russia,
Yeah.
played in South Africa, and I've never experienced that. But
Until
in
the
the United
US.
States, yeah, but in the
Wow.
United States, when there's lightning, when there's thunder and all that, and they check on the radar, and it's okay. Hey, pull everyone to safety. They always do that. So sometimes whenever I see people complain, I'm like, oh, I played here for 8, 9 years and I've
Yeah.
seen that. So I like the player safety kind of rule. They put the players first because the fans, whatever the sponsors, they all here for the players. So I like that they always put the players first. In that regard. So people from other countries, they've never experienced that before. So whenever it happens, they like, hey, I flew all the way from here to here, so I just want to watch the game, and it doesn't happen. So it's a little bit frustrating on that side, but I also understand that the organizers putting the players first.
Sicho, what did you make of that whole incident? I mean, I was there, and it's the first time experiencing anything like that. But it's not the first time it's happening in the Club World Cup. This is even the second time Benfica are experiencing that, as a team.
About the eighth time or something.
Yeah, this was the 8th time. It was 7 times before now, and this was the 8th time. And it just goes to show that they don't take safety for granted at all. In this country. And what I also picked up as part of the rules, anytime there was a thunder strike, there was going to be a 30 minutes delay. So if there were new thunder strikes, what it meant was there were going to be more delays, and that meant that the game potentially could have been postponed with just 10 minutes to go. A lot of logistics in place to make sure a game happens again. I'm pretty sure they were trying to prevent all of that. But what's your take on all of this? And because people are generally concerned globally if this is the kind of treatment. Not
Obviously you want
necessarily
people
treatment,
to
but
be
the kind of
safe
things they're going to
first,
be
first and
dealing with
foremost.
in the World Cup. Right.
Yeah. First and foremost, you want people to be safe. It is the agenda one. We can't choose football over safety, never. You want players to be safe. You want fans in the stadium to be safe and everything. So I can understand it. However, is it having secured safety from thunderstorm and everything? Is it even healthy for professional footballers to break from the game for an hour or for 2 hours and return to it with the same intensity? Of course, you warm up a little bit before you come back. Is it safe that you play 80 minutes, you go off 2 hours or an hour and 30 and come back? I've not done any research into the science, but On
Enzo
top of
Maresca was
mine, I don't think
extremely angry. He was
most.
spewing after the game. He said handling the players in the dressing room is very difficult for a coach in a situation like that because their families are talking to them on phone about their safety. They are laughing, they are playing with themselves, they are cracking jokes. Some of them are even eating. It's difficult to bring everybody together, keep them match day fit, knowing that there's such a long break. And obviously, it showed when they before the resumption of the game, both teams had to come on the pitch and warm up for about 5 minutes before getting back into the game itself. So it clearly has a mental and physical toll on the players.
It does, and know that recovery starts right after the final whistle. The final whistle in football is 10 minutes away from the 80th minute. Chelsea have played over 80 minutes, and then the game is done, but they can't start recovery properly because the game is not done. The game has been paused. You don't know when next you are going back onto the pitch. It's not proper. I just think it takes so much away from the game itself. And
I don't like
it
it.
from
I'll
the
be honest with you, I
fans'
don't like
viewpoint,
it.
or from a journalist viewpoint. Like, so you've gone to a game, you've got a plan that after 2 hours you want to go and hang out with people, you want to go and attend to other things. Then
or you probably traveled from far, or you probably drove 8 hours. Or you probably drove 8 hours to come see the game. So, and you need to go back, or you have a flight to catch.
You're talking about your personal life. You're talking about your personal life. You drove. No, but that is the reality, bro.
I was telling Brother Mason to give me his private jet, and he didn't give me the private jet, so I had to drive, bro.
That's the reality. So I don't know. I desperately hope that, because we saw some happening in the Copa America, few of them happening in the Copa America. Then we've seen some happening at the Club World Cup. Makes you wonder, what about the World Cup in itself, right? It's just not right.
It's definitely going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's very
it's going to be a real downside. Because look. Here's the thing. Even for football integrity, it's not proper. Because think about it. If we are all
anything can happen in the recess. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah. If you are playing 80 minutes and I'm a coach and I've coached my team to wear down the opponent for 80 minutes, and the opponent has 2 hours to regain their energy and their focus, we are not playing the same game. It's not the same game when we return. It's absolutely not the same. Because if you played 70 minutes, 80 minutes, my opponent is tired, the fullback is tired, I've brought in a new winger who is getting one better than the fullback. All of a sudden, game has been paused. All of us go back. That fullback now has every energy in his legs to come back and deal with my winger. It's not the same. It's the football integrity to itself also is a question, but how can we?
And it's not just that. I mean, I'm African, and we've seen a lot of bribery and corruption issues. And imagine this happening in Africa, and some of these clubs and some of these club owners entering dressing room knowing that, Charlie, if I score one goal, I can get somewhere. Negotiations will go on. Anyway, let's move on from there. And also after the game, I spoke to Rhys James, who I asked him the question about the flurry of goals that Chelsea got in extra time. It was 1-0 before the recess. Di Maria equalized through the penalty incident after the recess, and then in extra time Chelsea got 3 goals through Nkunku, Drisby Hall and Pedro Neto. I was asking him if that gives them extra confidence going into the game against Palmeiras. This is exactly what he had to say. Let's take a listen, come back. What sort of confidence are you guys drawing, especially from the flurry of goals in extra time going into the next game?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
I'm saying, what sort of confidence are you guys drawing from the number of goals you scored, especially towards the end of the game?
No, I think the goals don't reflect how much confidence we have. We have confidence in what our goals are going into the game, how we want to play, our structure, defensively and offensively. And I think that's more important to us. If we have our structures right, we will achieve what we want to achieve.
Thank you. We'll leave it there. And then we move on. All right, so that'll be all. At this point, we'll go for a quick break, come back, and these guys will be answering questions that they say they know more than me asking the questions. We'll be right back.
This is the FC Pitch That podcast, the first in an exciting lineup of podcasts by Footy Centre. Footy Centre is where you'd read your intriguing opinions and daily stories about football. From Europe's biggest leagues, the Champions League, international matches, and for Ghanaian fans, get closer to your favorite national teams.
Welcome back to FC Pitch Side Podcast. Thank you very much for staying with us as we discuss football matters. I'm still here with Jonathan Mensah and Philip Sicho Atrim. I wanted us to go straight to the quiz, but as at the time of recording, there is a Club World Cup currently happening in the round of 16. It is Paris Saint-Germain against Inter Miami. Will Lionel Messi be able to cook something against his former side? Currently, it's not happening. It's João Neves who is actually in dreamland hoping for a hat-trick, I hear. Sicho, confirm that to me.
Absolutely. He's got 2 goals. He scored the first 2 goals of the game on the 6th minute and the 39th minute. Then PSG got their third from an own goal from Avila. Then Hakimi on the stroke of halftime scored the 4th goal. It's just been a walk in the park for Paris Saint-Germain. Inter Miami can't get anywhere near them. They can't pass through them. They can't win the ball. Then PSG are playing like they are playing a training game. And we even see Dembele also warming up to come and get a feel of the Club World Cup. He's not played yet because he's not been fit. But now that he's returning to fitness, manager's almost going to bring him home to have a feel of the game. But yeah, 4-0 to PSG. Inter Miami just nowhere near good enough.
I like that. All right. So we'll quickly move on straight to the quiz. Now, guys, I want you people to agree what you want. Do you want Mystery Man or you want Zigzag? Just let me know and then we move.
Zigzag.
Jonah, do you want Zigzag or Mystery Man?
I'll just let the champion from last week decide.
Allah, what an honorable
Respect.
answer.
Allah.
What an honorable answer.
You see, I played 2 against 1 for a year.
Oh, I said honorable answer. I said honorable answer. And they give you fans.
When you guys they cheer together, and as he say, you guys they do some connections for them. What is it?
You show that you're a proper sportsman. The answer you gave it is the most perfect,
an honorable answer.
The most perfect answer you give. See, no, yes, sportsman. Wow.
Anyway, guys, let's move on straight to the player zigzag. Let's do player zigzag. So as you know, player zigzag, I mentioned the clubs, the transfer history of the player, and my guest will guess which player I am talking about. Now, let's start with this man. This man started his career with Norwich City. Then he moved on from Norwich City to Coventry City. From Coventry, he moved and signed for Newcastle United. After Newcastle United, he decided to go on loan to Celtic. And then he signed for Blackburn Rovers. After Blackburn, he decided to spend only 1 season at Liverpool. After Liverpool, he decided to move to West Ham United. If it still doesn't ring a bell, he moved to Manchester City. Then he moved to Cardiff City on loan. Then he returned to Liverpool again for another 1 season. Then he finished off his career at Cardiff City. Who am I talking about?
Craig.
That is
Bellamy
Craig
or
Bellamy. That is correct. Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. Jonathan Mensah gets that correct. It is Craig Bellamy. He didn't give Sicho any chance to even mention one name. Craig Bellamy. I like that. Next player. So this is 1-0 in favor of Jonathan. This guy started his career with Barcelona, but at a B side. Then he later moved on from Barcelona to Barcelona itself. From there, he said he wants to stay in Spain, so he signed for Atletico Madrid. Then he had a really good time in Italy with Genoa. From there, he signed for Inter Milan. And then he signed for Paris Saint-Germain. Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Genoa, Inter Milan, Paris Saint-Germain.
So Barca, Genoa, Inter Milan.
Barca, Atletico Madrid,
Atletico
Genoa.
Madrid.
Genoa, Inter
Genoa.
Milan. Can we ask you questions or not?
Well, maybe, but I'm not going to give you any clues though. But you could.
After Inter Milan, where did he go?
After Inter Milan, he went to Paris Saint-Germain. I like this. I like it. I like it when I do it and nobody knows the answer. I like it. I like it.
Paris Saint-Germain. This one is really, really the mystery man himself.
It's
The
tough.
mystery man himself.
It's
I'm
tough,
zigzagging
bro.
your brains. I'm zigzagging
What's
your
a
brains. I like
zigzag?
that.
What's a zigzag? Wow. What's a zigzag?
I like that. I like that.
Did you say you're going to answer questions, but you're not going to give clue?
Well, yeah. So it depends. If you ask me and I think it's going to be a clue, I'm not going to answer.
Okay,
I can answer. it.
okay. I know. I should tell
So
you.
who is it? So who is it?
Thiago Motta.
Thiago Motta is correct. 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 So it's 1-1. It's 1-1. It's 1-1. It's 1-1. Thiago Motta. Thiago Motta ended his career at Paris Saint-Germain. Anyway, let's move on quickly. So this guy started his career for Coventry City. Then from Coventry City, he moved to Kayserispor in Turkey. Then he moved to Reading back in England. He then later decided to go sign for wait, no, I think I have rather turned it around. So I'm going to start all over again. This guy started his career with Julius Berger.
Wait.
Is there a cat under your table?
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yes.
just go ahead.
Oh, okay. He lost his earphone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Go ahead.
So this guy started his career with Julius Berger, moved on to Hapoel Kasaba. Then he signed for Maccabi Haifa. He later decided to come to England and play for Portsmouth. Then he played for Middlesbrough. Then he played for Everton. Then he played for Leicester City. Then he played for Blackburn Rovers. Then he played for Ganzur. Then he played for Al Rayyan. Signed for Reading. Signed for Kayserispor. And finished off his career at Coventry City.
Come
come on.
People are getting this thing.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to make it a bit difficult for you. People are getting these things. The last few weeks, Mumu and Sano, easy. You know.
No. Go over the clubs that he came to in Europe.
on. Start again.
So Julius Berger, Hapoel Kasaba, Maccabi Haifa, Portsmouth, Middlesbrough,
Israel.
Everton, Leicester City, Blackburn, Ganzhou in China, Al Rayyan, Reading, Kayserispor, Coventry. You know him. You know him too well. Today we are doing just 3 though, or we should do 5. I didn't tell you guys before, so I'm not going
It's
to
best
force it
of
on you.
it's best of three. It's best of three, so
Wait, Mystery Man and Zigzag. Which
it
one is
has to
best of
be.
3?
Mystery Man is best of three. Oh, Zigzag is normally
Zigzag
best
is
of
rather
five.
best of 5. Yeah, best of 5.
Ooh.
I can easily make this the tiebreaker and make it whoever gets this one, or I can find the next 2 and then we move.
Yeah.
You are for the record, just be consistent. I'll make it 5.
Oh man, I don't know. This is tough.
His English career is Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, Everton, Leicester, Blackburn. I'll make this a tiebreaker for the sake of time because you guys have spent more time on this than.
But who was it
days.
though?
If you don't
Who
get
was
this,
it?
then I can move on to the next person. Should I mention a name?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yakubu Ayegbeni.
Oh
Are you
my
Benny?
God.
It's Yakubu
Portsmouth,
Ayegbeni. Yakubu
Middlesbrough,
Ayegbeni. Portsmouth.
Blackburn.
Because Middlesbrough, guys, Everton, Leicester, Everton, Blackburn.
But
Yeah.
when you add all those other clubs, it's a little bit confusing though.
Right, because it's quite a number of clubs.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
confusing.
was a nomad. He was like everywhere. Anyway, let's still find a tiebreaker. So this should be the tiebreaker then. Anybody who gets this wins for the episode. This guy started his career at Cruzeiro, and when I say he's Cruzeiro, it means he's Brazilian. Then he moved from Cruzeiro to Sao Paulo. From Sao Paulo, he spent a bit of time on loan at Atletico Mineiro. Then he signed for Villarreal. He was so good, so Barcelona signed him. And he played. He played really good. And after that, Chelsea decided to sign him from Barcelona. He ended his career in Fluminense. Who is this player? I can go through again. Cruzeiro, Sao Paulo, Atletico Mineiro, Villarreal, Barcelona, Chelsea, and Fluminense. Really good player.
Thierry be wicked though. Hey.
I know ball.
Thierry be wicked pass. Whoa. Like I can imagine it's going to be a very popular footballer considering the Villarreal Barca to Chelsea.
Yeah, very popular. You guys know him. If I mention him, you'll be like, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
him.
Villarreal to Barca to Chelsea. That is. Wait, Edgar Johnson? No,
No.
He couldn't have started in Brazil.
Yeah, he couldn't have
Brazilian.
played. He's not Brazilian.
Brazilian, yeah. And then we could just go the other way around. He left Chelsea for.
Oh my guys. Brazilian.
If you they ask, that's why you they do. Oh my guys, hey my guys. That's easy.
Yeah, let me talk, bro. No, bro.
Brazilian.
Who played for Cruzeiro, Sao Paulo,
Brazilian.
Atletico Mineiro. Atletico Mineiro was on loan,
Yeah.
then played for Villarreal, Barcelona, Chelsea. Went back to retire in Brazil. Time, guys. Time. Okay. You guys don't know, so I'll move on again. Oh,
What is it? What is it? What is it?
Giuliano Belletti.
Belletti. Chelsea. Yee, right back.
Giuliano
Right back,
Belletti.
Papa.
Exactly.
Right back.
Barcelona.
Exactly.
Bro, if you they ask, so that's why you they do it. Exactly. You know, easy. Because, wow.
Anyway, now I'm going to make it simple. This guy played in England all his career. This guy played for only 4 clubs. This guy you must know. He started his football at Aston Villa, played for Manchester City, moved to Everton, and then West Bromwich Albion.
Started where?
Aston Villa. Then he spent so much time at Aston Villa. Then he moved to Manchester City, From Man City, he moved to Everton.
Barry.
Gareth Barry is correct.
Barry.
Barry is correct. Gareth Barry is correct. So Jonathan Mensah wins the episode. He wins it, and that relief, that stretch
Gareth
of relief,
Barry.
it's been long coming. Sicho, why are you scrubbing your chin? What is there?
Barry.
What is there in your chin?
I mean, it's not great. It's not great to lose, but credits to Jonah. Brilliant.
But this is a big credit to Jonathan, because Jonathan has won the most difficult episode yet. He's won the most difficult one yet, and I genuinely thought he wasn't going to win. Yeah, I genuinely didn't think he was going to even get this Barry correct. I had one on standby.
No, this
for the
stuff.
sake of you guys saying that I'm wicked, I decided not to mention that one or to bring that one up. So Jonathan, congratulations to you. Well done.
Congrats.
As we know, we're talking about transfers, and let me just do this. Breaking news coming through. David Ornstein is just tweeting that Thomas Partey is going to leave Arsenal on Monday, this coming Monday. That is 2 days from now, when his contract expires, with the club set to confirm the midfielder's exit early next week. The 32-year-old was in talks over extending his career at the Emirates Stadium, but an agreement could not be reached on the terms of a deal. Although the likely outcome became clear in recent weeks, a final call has now been made. And so Arsenal have told Partey they will not continue the relationship going forward. Monday will be his last day at the club. Anyway, we'll bring you more on this particular one in our next episode. We've spent over an hour, almost an hour and 30 minutes. So hopefully next week we'll have more information on this particular one, and we'll bring you, including maybe possible details about where his next destination is going to be. For now, he's training privately, with some friends from Arsenal, as we saw on social media. Thank you very much, guys, Jonathan and Sicho, for making this possible, and of course for your great submissions, and also for the game. Congratulations to you, Jonathan, once again. Big ups to you. Same time next week, we'll bring you another great episode on FC Pitchside Podcast. My name is Theo Winyan. I'll see you some other time.
Welcome to Footy Center Podcast Series.